a queue. I'll just message in the speaker chat. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. It means a lot. My name is Jayasri Nagarale, and we are going to be spending the next 30 or 40 minutes or so talking about AI/ML and how we can incorporate intelligence into our products. So before we get started, a little bit about me. My name is Jayasri Nagarale. I am currently a product design manager at ServiceNow India. And I have been with ServiceNow for about 2.5 years now, and it is absolutely one of the best places I have worked at. I've been getting a few messages from you folks asking about the culture in ServiceNow and how and what role design plays in the products. So due to time constraints, I might not be able to talk about that, but I'll be super happy to connect with you on LinkedIn and answer any questions that I can. So please feel free to connect with me on my LinkedIn. And yeah, let's get started. Yep, the link to my LinkedIn is on the chat. Thank you, Mariam. Okay, so this presentation is about how do you design ML-based products, right? Or more importantly, how do you incorporate ML intelligence or maybe AI intelligence into already existing products? So if few years back, or maybe 1 or 2 years back, I had a question like what is the role of design in machine learning, right? Is it just meant for engineers? Is it just meant for data scientists? Or do we as designers play any role in creating intelligent solutions? Some other questions that were going in my mind are like, how can designers engage in the process early on? And then if we are to, how do we even get started? Now, this presentation is a summary, in short, of my learnings over the past 2 years, and I am like super excited to share them with you. So the first thing is this is something profound that I read. That AI is today what mobile was a decade ago. Now, if you remember when touchscreen mobiles just came out, right, the world was moving away from the wired telephone sets where you had to dial numbers to mobiles that people could use, carry them wherever they want to go, and there was like a whole new world of opportunities in with respect to apps, with respect to anything that could be consumed on a browser now being in a person's hand. So around a decade or maybe 2 decades back, that this was like the thing that would change how people communicate and talk with each other and interact with the world. What I am seeing is we are standing at that point where the next decade, the next maybe even 10, 20, 30 years will be shaped by how we are able to use AI/ML and how we are able to co-create with that intelligence to create beautiful products that would help humanity. So it is not just for PMs and not just for engineers, but it is very much a responsibility of the design folks as well to make sure that we play a part in designing those intelligent products. So let's AI, little bit of AI 101, right? So let's start from the very, very basic. Like, what exactly is AI? AI is nothing but artificial intelligence. It is the science of getting machines to learn, think, act, and perform tasks in a way humans would normally do, right? So we are getting machines to perform tasks similar to humans. That is AI in a nutshell. And then let's see what are the different types of AI, right? So we cannot really go ahead and build a system that would replicate human being in entirety. There are three different classifications of AI, and I'll just briefly touch upon each of them. The first one is called as narrow AI. So narrow AI are specific systems, are systems that are created to solve one specific problem. And as of today, these problems and these systems can solve those problems as good as a human can, almost. They are getting there. They're getting better every day. So few examples of narrow AI are, you can think of it like self-driving cars, maybe image recognition. So those things perform very specific tasks, but they are doing it well. The next set is called as the next group of AI is called as general AI. This is still in the nascent stages. This is where machines, this is where we are building machines that can reason and that can think like a human, right? So one example of this is Sophia the robot. This is very much in the nascent stages right now. The third type of AI, which is called as a super AI, which is completely hypothetical at this point, is where machines will be intelligent enough to be their own beings, to have emotions, to have needs, to have sentiments. We are still far away from this, and how we are going to get there will be very much dependent on how we are going to define what is narrow AI, what is general AI. So it's like a path. We are not going to suddenly land up in super AI. Now let's just dig a little bit deeper into narrow AI, because that is where most of the applications today are at, and that is where we'll be making the best use of intelligence and be able to incorporate them into our products. So narrow AI again is our systems that are created to solve one specific problem. Few examples of them are image recognition, like Google Lens, Google Photos. Next is recommendation engines, your Netflix, your Spotify's. And this is something that ServiceNow also is heavily adding to our products. And you can see a lot of enterprise applications adding recommendations, adding intelligent recommendations into their products. A few other examples are chatbots, content generators like content.ai, copy.ai, awesome tool, self-driving cars, and more. So all of these are good at one specific task, and they are doing it well. So let's just now come to what exactly is ML, what exactly is deep learning, because these are all like buzzwords that are being bounced around. So, firstly, artificial intelligence is the science of making machines do or think or maybe act as good as humans, right? ML then is a subset of AI. It's like a subset of AI that uses data to make those machines, to make those products, right? And then what is deep learning in turn is these are the set of algorithms, and these are the set of code, you can say, that uses the data, they create models, and then that will help the ML system. So deep learning is where we would have the most engineering, the most requirement, like, you need to really get into your Python codes and stuff. But AI and ML, PMs and designers can definitely get involved. All right. So before I move on, there's something that I would like to address, and that there is a lot of fear these days going around with respect to AI and ML. People say, "Hey, will this replace us? Will it take away our jobs? Will it completely eliminate the human race and take over the planet? AI is just for engineers. It's too complex for me." So these are fears, I would say, and I would like urge you to keep an open mind, and then think of the possibilities, that think of the possibilities that are possible, right? Because what happens is that unless we are in tune with what's changing in our world, we will not be aware of what we need to change within ourselves. And to be aware of what we need to change within ourselves, that is the first requirement to growing with times. So, keep your fears aside, keep an open mind, and then genuinely develop that curiosity that, hey, this is new, but I am interested in this and I want to see what we can make out of it. Like, think of it as a medium. There was this amazing YouTube video that I saw that says that AI is a design medium. And I would highly, encourage you to go check that video out as well. Alrighty, so it's time for us to co-create the future. And if you want to have that growth mindset, the one question that you need to keep asking yourself is that how can I incorporate continued learning, right? Learning does not stop in school and in colleges. You need to keep learning. You need to see what's coming. 5 years down the line, will my job still be relevant? If not, what are the steps I need to take? So yeah, keep learning, keep evolving, and hopefully this presentation will give you a little intro on what's ML, what's AI, and what designers can do with respect to those. Okay, so digging a little bit deeper into ML, there are five main capabilities of ML that we need to keep in mind when we are designing for products, right? The first one is recommendation that we saw before. This is the ability to generate recommended solutions. The second capability is classification. So this is where the models or the products or the systems can group existing data into clusters, and then make some meaning out of them. So this is called as classification. Prediction, the ability to predict what would come next. Then again, this is generation. So based on existing data, the models are able to generate new similar data. The next thing is clustering, wherein we are able to group um, data that does not have any patterns yet, like unlabeled data, and we are able to form intelligent clusters. So maybe take a screenshot and do a Google search about each one of these, see what are the applications, which products fall under each of these buckets. This is going to be interesting, so I promise. All right, so now coming to the crux of the presentation, right? How do we incorporate intelligence into existing products? Now, this can be for enterprise setup, this can be for a B2B setup, this can also be very well applied to a B2C setup as well. So, to spot opportunities, there are three lenses by which you can take a look at, right? So, there are three different lenses by which you can see the world. The first one is user centric. As designers, we are very well aware of looking at the world through a user's lens. And that's exactly what we are going to do in a user centric approach. The second approach is to look at it in a product centric way. So in a product centric way, what do we see? Or maybe I'll just move back a little bit. Okay. In a user centric approach, what do we do is we look at the user journeys, we look at user problems that the users are already facing within your product, and we try to see if we can solve those using ML, right? In the second approach, in the product centric, what we try to do is we look at, hey, what are the latest development in this field, and can I make products out of it? So all the amazing startups that are coming up, Copy.ai, you have image generations with Wall-E. So all the new startups that are coming up, which are implementing those ML capabilities, they kind of fall into this space where we are looking at the possibilities and then we are building products on top of that. The third lens to look at is the data centric. So what's happening is enterprises especially are sitting on gold mine of data. They have decades and decades of data that they have on their systems, and I am calling this gold mine especially because in order to build AI or in order to build ML or anything, the foundation of that is data. So based on, you can use maybe clustering, you can use classification, or you can use any of those models and apply them on an existing data set to see if we can generate any patterns, to see if we can generate any recommendations. So if companies have like huge data like finance, banking, healthcare, education, it would also help them to take a look at the existing data that they have and what they can make out of it. So for this presentation, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the user-centric view. All right. So the most important question that we would ask ourselves when we're looking at it from a user-centric view is, how do I use AI to amplify human potentials, right? So we are not taking away jobs of our users and completely replacing them with AI, but we are trying to help them do whatever they were doing. We are trying to help them do it better, do it faster, do it in a smarter way. We are amplifying human potential here. So what I did over the last maybe 1 or 1.5 2 years was to see if maybe firstly to read a lot, and then to see if the best practices of ML design can be incorporated as templates or as patterns into a structure that designers already use, right? So most of us would be familiar with the double diamond process, 4 stages. So what I'm going to propose is to see if we can overlap best practices of AI design into an already existing process called as a double diamond. So we are going to be looking at 3 stages here. The first one is understand, second one is define, then develop and finalize phase. So I'll be kind of stressing a little bit more on understand and define phases. All right, let's do this. So the phase one, understand. So what we would do now is to perform all the steps that we would do in the understand phase as is. We are not really like replacing anything here, but added on top of that, we are going to be doing a few more steps so that few more steps for designing intelligent solutions, right? So in the understand phase, when you are defining user needs or when you're defining your user challenges and problems, what we did was pick maybe the top 5 or top 3 to 5 of those, and maybe do like a how might we exercise. Just brainstorm with your team on for each of these, like ask yourself and ask the team, like how can we use AI capabilities to augment or automate or solve these in a unique way, right? So again, our capabilities were recommendations, classification, clustering, prediction generation. So you have your problems, you have these things that the machines can do. Try to map them in a way that would make things easier for our users. The second thing that we did was to look at the user flow or the user journey and identify points in which the users are facing issues. And I'll give you an example. So this was a user flow map that we did. And for each of those green arrow points, we found out that we could use either a recommendation engine or either maybe a clustering or maybe some form of ML to amplify the potential of our users, to help them do what they're doing better. And from this point onwards, then we kind of brainstorm on things that we could do to make things better for our users. Okay. Some other pointers for you to maybe also take a look at in the user journey is identify points where tasks are repetitive, identify points where it is more of a labor intensive, like filling up 30 form fields. It's too labor intensive, where tasks are overwhelming, or where things are like unintuitive or they're not really fit to screens. So identify all these points, and these points like really make excellent use cases for to apply ML solutions. Now, one thing that has really helped me and which I absolutely love is the AI meets design card deck. No, I have not designed these, full disclosure. Um, Google AI meets design, and this card deck, the soft version of this is completely free to use. If you want to download a hard version, like physical cards, you just have to pay some nominal amount. But Google these are amazing set of cards that will help you when you're brainstorming, right? So each of these cards have like one question where you can brainstorm on if it applies to your product, and on the back of the card you have which model can you use, what are some other implementations of this idea. So this is an amazing card deck. I have extensively used this. One question, like if you see one card here, right? You see, hey, what if you could see the world through your user's eyes and and respond to what they are seeing. Now, if you were designing an app for a self-driving car, or if you were designing something for the metaverse where people just wore glasses and you can see what the user is seeing, maybe a VR or an AR app. So use this card to brainstorm around solutions, and on the back of the card you will see which ML models actually fit this use case. So it's an amazing card deck. Highly recommend checking it out. These are the other cards in there. um, all right. So once you have a bunch of ideas, right? Once you have done your brainstorming, once you have a bunch of ideas, the next thing that we would do is to plot them on impact versus complexity scale. So this is like a grid structure where you try to identify opportunities that have very high value, that have very high impact, but they are easier to develop. So this cannot be done alone. You need to sit with your engineering, with your data science folks, with your PMs, to see which of these ideas do make sense. And also make sure that whatever is selected is actually genuinely solving the user problem. One thing that I would like to call out here is from this point onwards, whatever ideas are selected, um, always keep in mind about the edge cases, or can they be can people use this in a negative way? Can there be like ethical misuses? So designers, we kind of get very attached to our products. They are like our babies. But especially when designing an ML solution, these products tend to get like really powerful, and it is our responsibility to make sure that these are also ethical, and people will not misuse it. So always keep a lookout for, hey, how can this go wrong, like horribly wrong? Just wear that devil's hat, once in a while. Okay, so talking about data, I called it a gold mine earlier because it is an absolute gold mine. So having a strong data set is the foundation on which any ML system can stand. Right? Without data, you really can't do anything. There's no ML, no AI, nothing, unless you have like proper data. It is the most important part of all of ML and AI. So similar to Maslow's pyramid, right? Now this is the data science pyramid, let's say. This was developed by Monica, and she very beautifully emphasizes the importance of data. And she also says, looks at the different stages in which companies can be at. So each of these stages are where individual companies stand with respect to where their data is at. First, um, the AI ML and the deep learning can only be accomplished when you're at the like very top, or maybe the top two layers. And for this to happen, we need to absolutely have a solid foundation of data collection, of data exploring, of aggregating and labeling your data sets properly. So that is the foundation on which we can build our ML solutions. So I also like highly encourage you to take a look at this, share this with your PMs and engineers, and identify where you sit on this pyramid, and then try to kind of move up the scale gradually. Yeah. So the next thing that we would move on to the next stage of our double diamond, that is the define and design. Here, what we would do as designers is to go ahead and design your product. As you would normally do. If you have like design systems, design libraries, go ahead and use that. Design whatever makes sense to your users. But when you are doing user testing and validation, right, there are three different areas to focus on as well. So do your user validation, but there are three more things that you need to focus on if your product has ML capabilities. The first one is look at the user sentiment. Like how do your users feel about an intelligent system working with them? Are they comfortable with it? Do they like it? Are they afraid of it? How important is transparency, right? So earlier when you mentioned when we spoke about a 30 form field, and if your ML is automatically filling those fields, does the user have to know that this was filled by a machine? And how important is explainability. So let me give you an example. So there is an ML system currently that can analyze chest X-rays of women and can detect early signs of cancer. Right. So it has been being trained on a lot of X-rays and a lot of data sets, and now it is at a point where the ML system can predict or detect cancer better than two doctors combined. So at this point, are the doctors comfortable using those systems? And how important is transparency? So let's say given an X-ray, and if an ML system says that yes, there might be a cancerous tissue, should it just be a yes and no thing, or should the ML also explain, hey, this is the specific area in which I'm seeing a discrepancy? So how important is transparency, explainability? So all those things you need to ask your users, right? Another example is like self-driving cars. Are users comfortable with the car driving itself? So these are some things that you need to test. The second area that we need to look at is machine teaching. So I did not say machine learning here, because machine learning is where machines learn, but machine teaching is where humans actually give that data back into the system and create that feedback loop, right? So in this case, are the doctors willing to teach the ML system to teach that product, saying that, hey, no, the prediction that you did was wrong, the prediction that you did was correct? So are they willing to give feedback back into the product? And if yes, how easy is it for them to give the feedback? And as designers, it is very important for us to make sure that the feedback is accurate and that any of the tasks that the third thing to my it's like very close to my heart is ethics, right? So our ML systems basically are very powerful, and with power comes responsibility, and that responsibility lies on the shoulders of the people who create those products. So are there any ethical concerns, like how can the system be intentionally or unintentionally be used for bad things? Like I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples actually. Few months back, or maybe it was a year back, Google was showing ads. Google was showing job ads to people. So there were some job openings, and Google was targeting people to show those job ads too. So it so happened that all the jobs that were maybe in the leadership level that were paid higher, the higher paying leadership jobs, were only shown to men, and women were shown the mid level, the other jobs. So was this intentional? Absolutely not, right? No one really sat and coded that, you show high paying jobs to men. But what the model did, or I think what it did was it analyzed that, hey, most of the leadership today in the world, most of the leadership jobs are held by men. So maybe these jobs ad needs to go to men rather than women, right? So that was an ethical concern here, that this was a bias actually, and as product creators we need to be aware that these bias can creep up, and we need to like develop models in such a way that's does not have these behaviors. um, so yes, alrighty. So moving on, user sentiment, measuring user sentiment. How comfortable are users? How comfortable are they willing to teach back to the system, the machine teaching, and then the ethics bit. So during your user testing and validation, you kind of start collecting feedback on each of these. The next thing to take a look at, and this is an absolute must do, to if you are incorporating ML into your products, is called as confusion matrix. Now this is another step. You know maybe you can read further about this. It's actually very interesting. Is what you do in this is we analyze the cost of mistakes, right? It's fine. Your systems are predicting things and they are giving more value to users, but what happens when things go wrong? And that is what we are analyzing in this step. So we make like a grid of user reality versus machine prediction. Let's say that if the user is expecting positive, If the user reality is positive and the machine says that yes, it's positive, then it's fine, happy ending, no problem. But if the user reality is positive and the machine shows a negative things, a machine shows a false negative, then there's an issue. If the user reality is negative, but the machine is showing positive, right? So then there is an issue. And when there are issues, how costly will they be? Netflix showing me a recommendation of a movie I don't like? Fine. I'll scroll. Spotify showing me a song I don't like? 5 seconds wasted. Fine. Self-driving car going wrong? Not good, right? A mammogram X-ray showing that a person has cancer when they don't have, that's not good. So analyzing the cost of mistakes, and if the mistakes can cause potential damage to humans, either physically, mentally, emotionally, then as product creators we need to make sure that whatever our systems are showing, we need to add confidence scores on them. Like maybe if the mammogram, or maybe the x-ray in the x-ray example, if the ML system says, hey, I am not entirely sure, but I am 60% confident that this may be the case, showing that the machine may not be always sure, and showing those confidence scores can help us avoid costly mistakes. And in case of self-driving cars, I would actually not even show those options if the machine is not 100% sure. So yeah, confusion metrics help you avoid absolute mishaps in your errors, and this will also help us regulate those fears around ML systems, right? Because they are just machines. They can go wrong. They are still learning. We need to make sure that the errors are handled properly. The next thing that on the same lines, right? ML systems are powerful, and countries and the leadership and the government is recognizing this. Earlier this year, China has passed a regulation that all the AI and ML capabilities that run within their country should be moral, should be ethical, should be transparent, and should also give out positive energy. I absolutely love the positive energy bit. And they have also mandated that we need to notify our users when an AI algorithm is playing a part in what they are seeing, and we have to, as product creators, we have to give them a chance to opt out of it. Option to opt out is something that I have underlined, because this is where the design comes into picture, right? How do you design a product without recommendations? How do you design a product with recommendations, but just partial recommendations, right? And then how do you even tailor the product where people can give continuous feedback? And how do you know that, hey, this was a recommendation given by the machine versus this was something that I have seen, considering Netflix, right? If you just picture Netflix for a moment, and then imagine it being shown with recommendations, without recommendations, and then how do you give people the way to opt out of it? So all these are design decisions, if you will, and unless we designers are aware of what's happening around this world, we won't be able to do justice to the products that we design. So China was the first country to make this regulation, and very soon other countries are also going to follow this. So if you're ready to design for the future, I hope this presentation has sparked some interest in you. AI/ML is like a huge subject, but it is not difficult to get started. So if you're ready to design for the future, remember that uncharted territory for the next 20, 30 years. It is up to us to define and decide how that will be. So let's do it. And some resources to help you get started. There is a course on Coursera. It's completely free, by Andrew Ng. He is amazing. That course is called AI for Everyone. Check that out. There's People Plus AI Guidebook by Google. That's also an amazing resource. Elements of AI, machine learning design, and design guidelines by Apple. Also, the AI meets design card deck that I showed earlier. So all of these are fantastic resources to get started. And for me, I am I have just started on my journey to design AI/ML products, and I learn publicly on LinkedIn. So if you're interested, please do subscribe to my bi-weekly newsletter where I share everything about how do you innovate within your products. And yeah, I would love to hear from you if you have any other questions. Thank you. Presentation slides, yes, I think Mariam would be able to answer that if you have access to the slides. What are the learning
All right.
resources you would
Then
recommend?
thank you, Jayasri, for this wonderful. Sorry,
I think Bhavya had asked
just
what
wanted
are
to
the
add
learning
one thing.
resources you would recommend. So Bhavya, here's a screenshot. There are a lot
For sure.
more, but this is a good place to get started. Just
All
going
right,
through
then
this.
I think we are running short of time, so we'll be able to take just one or two questions, maybe. So just give me a second. We will be selecting the questions.
Yeah. Oh, this is a great question. And to be honest, the the future is beautiful and scary. If you've seen the latest development by Wall-E, right? It's an image generation algorithm. So basically, what it has done is it has analyzed every image possible in the world, and now if you just give a description of the image, it's able to generate that image by itself. And people are creating beautiful fantasy worlds. People are creating different versions of shoes. Within minutes you have 60 different variations of shoe designs. Um, so what I am seeing is that the industry is going to change for sure. Remember the time where there were horse carriages and then came cars? um, it won't be that drastic, but it is going to change for the better. So what I am looking at is more intelligent tools for designers to help what we do better, right? Maybe intelligent Figma plugins. So I am looking at, or at least I'm looking forward to intelligent solutions that will help us rather than completely pushing us out of our jobs. Um, yeah. What are the main challenges that you have passed or tackled in learning AI/ML until you're in the current position? Oh, this is a great question. Um, so I am like super fortunate to be a part of two projects in ServiceNow that had one was like a complete recommendation engine that we built, and the second are heavily used recommendations in one of the products. So when we were building it, it was like pretty new, and I had to like literally um, do all these steps and by trial and error, right? So the data needs hierarchy, the confusion matrix, all that setup was something that we kind of discovered. We read a lot of AI design guidelines. I also spoke to Christy Fisher from the AI Meets Design guidebook. Basically, just talking to a lot of people, learning from their mistakes, learning from their successes. And the best part was that our entire team was in a mode of learning and experimenting. And I think that's very important for us to have that open mind. So fantastic team, but there were a few hurdles. It took longer than expected. Now, if I had to redo the entire project again, it would be like much faster. I hope I answered that question. All right. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to connecting with you on LinkedIn, and please feel free to message me if you have any questions. And thank you so much to the entire ADP team and for Felix for giving me this opportunity to share what I have learned. So thank you.